and gentlemen, if you're investment savvy, then you cannot miss this session. The gentleman who's going to speak right now, he's a writer who has worked at senior positions with the daily news and analysis of the Economic Times in the past. He's the author of the Easy Money trilogy. His working has appeared in Mutual Funds Insights, Wealth Insight, Equity Master, Times of India, The Hindu Business Line, Business World, Business Today, India Today, Business Standard, Forbes India, Deccan Chronicle. You know, I can just go on and on and on. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Vivek Kaul. Welcome, sir.
Hello, am I audible? Okay. Good evening, everyone. I mean, it gives me tremendous happiness to see so many of you here on a weekday. So there used to be an American president by the name of Herbert Hoover, who once supposedly asked, his advisors to get him a one-handed economist. Because, most economists have a tendency of, giving they'll analyze the situation in one way and then they'll tell you on the other hand. So, why I'm saying this is because, I'm about to sort of take exactly the opposite stand as to what Bala sir just did. So I just thought I'll sort of clarify this at the very beginning. And so if there are any bhakts out there, I'm really sorry. So apologies in advance. Okay, so this is a very, very historical place, and I don't need to tell you that, all of you know it. This is the second time that I've come here, and the last time that I was here to interview and listen to an economist called Abhijit Banerjee. He's an Indian-American economist who works at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology at MIT in the US. And unlike a lot of other, Indian-American economists who sit in their AC rooms and pontificate about what India should do and what India should not do, this guy actually is very, very hands-on. I mean, he has done a lot of ground-level research on education, hunger in India, in Africa, and other parts of the developing world. That was a huge day for me, because what I learned from that one session has helped me understand many other things in life, and also as to how any government operates. So on that particular day, Mr. Banerjee was talking about education, and he was specifically talking about the right to education. The right to education, as you would know, sort of became a right on April 1st, 2010. And it essentially states that any child between 6 to 14 has to go to school. And none of us can have anything against this. All children need to go to school. What happened, or what has happened after the right to education came to the fore, is that the learning outcomes of Indian children have gone down dramatically. Now, what that means is that children can't read properly, they can't do basic math, and they can't write. In a country where an average kid spends around 4 to 5 years in school, if a child can't read, write, and do math, what is he doing in school? So the point, to cut a long story short, the point Mr. Banerjee was making on that given day was that perfect is the enemy of good. So right to education is one of those perfect things. Every child should go to school, and schools should have a certain standard. So it is very, very input driven. Now, what do I mean by being input driven? Schools should have a certain ratio of children to teacher. There should be toilets, there should be grounds, so on and so forth. And there is a very specific clause in the right to education which says that the teacher has to complete the syllabus, irrespective of the fact as to whether the child is understanding or learning anything or not, but the teacher has to complete the syllabus. So it's a very input-driven legislation. And what has happened because of that is children are not reading properly, they're not writing properly, and they're not doing basic math properly. And one estimate suggests that between 2005 and 2015, we have produced around 10 crore people, individuals who have gone through our primary school who can't read, write, or do basic math. Now, I mean, you must all be wondering as to why am I going on and on about right to education when, clearly the invite said that the talk was on demonetization. So, demonetization, like the right to education, I think, is, one of those perfect things. And perfect, as I said, is the enemy of the good. When we started on November 8th, I mean, I remember I was coming back from the Delhi airport. I had gone to pick up my mother, and somebody just called, ki TV dekh, TV dekh, TV dekh. So I said, you know what, I mean, I thought maybe someone's been assassinated or something like that's happened. So I said, nahi, so what happened? So he told me, no, Modi has just demonetized 500 and 1,000 rupee notes. So I said, okay. So, and, one of the things about being a part of the digital media is that, something, you have to react to something even before it happens. So within the next 2 hours, I was expected to put up a very, very highly educative piece on why Modi has demonetized. So initially, given the limited information that one had, I was sort of in favor of the decision. But the way things have evolved over a period of time, it tells me that, there has been absolutely no thinking while taking the decision. And why I say that is because, the government is essentially like a funnel, okay? You know how a funnel is. It's very wide at the top, and it's very narrow at the bottom. So when they have to plan anything, they have a lot of bureaucrats. They can hire experts from outside. So any legislation, any plan at the paper level seems perfect. But when it has to be implemented, it is implemented by the bottom guys. So there is no bandwidth at the bottom. So that is why, every district as of now has around 200 centrally sponsored schemes, which are, supposedly run by the district collector. So along similar lines, when we sort of decided to demonetize, we decided to pull out 500 and 1,000 rupee notes, okay? Now, I have numbers here which say that on 8th November, there were around 1,716.5 crore 500 rupee notes and 685.580 1,000 rupee notes. These notes formed around 86% of the currency outstanding on that given day. So 86% of the currency was demonetized. And, the last time the RBI shared numbers was on 27th November. Only 15% of it has been replaced till date. What is happening is, if you sort of saw the press conference yesterday, the RBI governor and the deputy governor were very confident. They stated there is no currency shortage, etc., etc. But that, as all of us know, is not really true. I mean, I have this 2,000 rupee note which I have been carrying for the last 2 weeks, and nobody is willing to change it. So what has happened is that no notes have been printed, okay? And I did some very basic maths. I mean, this is not rocket science. If you look at the RBI annual report, it tells you very, very clearly that over the last 3 years, on an average, the RBI, the printing presses that the RBI uses have printed around 2,200 crore notes on an average during the course of the year. The capacity of these printing presses is apparently 2,400 crore notes a year. Okay. Now, if you have been following the media carefully on this issue, you would have realized by now that the media has been saying that these presses can print 300 crore notes per month. How did they arrive at that number? So again, it's very, extremely basic math. So 2,400 crore is the capacity if these printing presses operate for 2 shifts. Okay. If they operate for 3 shifts, it becomes 3,600 crore, 50% more, which is basically 300 crore notes per month. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that, we are assuming that 4 government printing presses will work 24 hours a day, and they will have no other problems. You know, they'll have the paper that is needed, they'll have all the ink that is needed, and they'll print 300 crore notes a month, okay? And they'll just print, okay, I'll just come to that. So 300 crore notes per month is what the capacity of the government of India is, okay? Now, as I said earlier, there are around 700 crore 1,000 rupee notes which have been demonetized. So those have been replaced by the 2,000 rupee notes. So that has been done. So 2,000 is out of the equation. Let's forget about that. The problem is at the 500 rupee level. There are 1,700 crore notes which need to be replaced, okay? And the capacity is 300 crore notes per month operating at full capacity, okay? Government institutions operating at full capacity is not something which you and me have heard of, at least, you know, in my limited experience. So this basically means we need around 5.5 to 6 months, 6 months basically to print 500 rupee notes, okay? Now, obviously, you know, logic's been offered that, you know, all money will not come back, we'll go cashless, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, ठीक है, not 6 महीना नहीं लगेगा, तो 4 महीना, 5 महीना तो लगेगा. So 4 to 5 months, you know, a country in which 98% of the consumer transactions are in cash will be without cash. Okay, I am not an economist. I've never studied economics as a subject, but I really don't understand which economist was advising the Prime Minister on this, because this is a very, very fundamental point, right? I really don't know. So. Further, we need to understand that where do we go from here? So now we are being told that you know, notes are being printed, but all this will take time. You know, cash will take time to reach people. The other interesting thing that there was this special dividend theory which was offered, and I need to sort of, use this, occasion to explain why that was basically bunkum. So this is how the theory went. So the assumption, so around, the total number of notes, the total value of notes demonetized was around 15 lakh crore. So some economists somewhere assumed that only 20% of, 20% of these notes are basically black money, okay? Nobody knew where that 20% number came from. It could have been 10%, it could have been 5%, it could have even been 50%. But 20% probably just sounded right, na bahut zyada, na bahut kam. So 20% was just right. So some economists somewhere wrote a piece assuming 20%, and then everybody followed. There were, there were at least, I have read at least 15 to 20 pieces, and then there were these research reports brought out by, many, including the chief economist of the State Bank of India, who also said something as stupid as that, we should have more rounds of demonetization. So, imagine. So, anyway, so, so getting back to the point, so we were, sorry, I forgot what was I saying. Special dividend, okay, sorry. So, so the logic was that around, 20% of it is black money, so people will not deposit black money in the banking system because it will lead to, an audit trail. So nobody will deposit black money. So 300,000 crore, which is 3 lakh crore, will not come back to the banking system, okay? Will not come back to the banks. And, as you would know, every rupee out there in the financial system is essentially a liability for the RBI, okay? And if 3 lakh crore does not come back, the liability of the RBI comes down by 3 lakh crore. If the liability has to shrink, if the liability shrinks, the assets also need to shrink. Asset is equal to liability. This is Chartered Accountancy 101. So 3 lakh crore of liabilities will not come, and that will lead to a dividend of 3 lakh crores for the government. I'm not sure about you guys, but I got at least 25 WhatsApp forwards on this, and people saying, how this is a great move. Yesterday, Dr. Urjit Patel essentially said, all this is nonsense. Even if the money does not come back, it does not mean, that RBI has no liability. So the special dividend theory has gone out of the window. So where does that leave us? We need to understand that, what is paper money at the end of the day. If I have a 2,000 rupee note and I have a 10 rupee note, the difference in value is 1,990 rupees because the RBI says so, right? It probably takes a few paisa more to print the 2,000 rupee note. In fact, honestly, if you look at the new 2,000 rupee note, it might probably be, be printed at a lower cost than the 10 rupee note. Because, so they call it the pinky. The taxi guys, if you give them this 2,000 rupee note, the Kalipili drivers, they say, "Saab, ye pinky mere ko mat do." So, anyway, so what is, so essentially the difference in value is because the RBI says there is a difference in value. So what we need to understand is that paper money is essentially a token, okay? It is a token which helps us carry out transactions, okay? I am a writer, okay? I don't want to cook every day, so I hire a cook. And I give her 3,000 rupees a month or whatever, 4,000 rupees a month. So the paper money at the end of the day is a token which helps us carry out transactions. And because 98% of the consumer transactions in this country happen in cash, and close to 70% of transactions by value happen in cash, the markets, and I don't mean the stock market because we are at the Bombay Stock Exchange, so I guess I need to clarify that. The markets all across the country have come to a standstill, okay? All you need to do is read the inside pages of the Economic Times, not the front page, because on the front page of Economic Times, all you will get is spin. I have worked there, so I know. Read the inside pages, which, in fact, they're called the cash crash or something these days. So read the inside pages, and you will know that markets all over the country have come to a standstill. The limited information that I have, I know for sure that the textile market in Punjab is not working. The paper market in Uttarachal, which used to operate all on black money, has come to a standstill. And there are enough examples going. So my point at the end of the day is, when we started, if you heard Mr. Modi's speech and if you carefully read the press release that was put out on that day, the 2 points that were put out were black money and fake money. There was no mention of this word cashless anywhere. Okay? Cashless came some 15 days later when they realized that all the money is going to come back and, no black money is going to be destroyed. So then there was a new spin, okay, we are doing cashless. Again, honestly, cashless is a great idea. I am all cashless, so this, entire demonetization thing has not, it has bothered me a little, but it hasn't bothered me a lot. All that I have had to compromise on is to, buy vegetables from Big Basket, and which is a very, very bad idea because their vegetables really suck. So, so the point I was trying to make is that, who was this great economist who gave this idea to Narendra Modi that now let's go cashless because we haven't been able to do anything about the black money, so let's go cashless. I don't know. I'm just raising questions as a citizen because I don't have access to any special information. I'm only saying what I see. So going on from here, my basic question is, did we need to do all this in the first place? The new theory that has been offered is, this is something that today I made a Facebook post and a lot of bhakts gave me this new spin. So I thought I'll share it with you guys as well. So the new theory, and this is something that honestly the Revenue Secretary Hasmukh Adhya has also talked about. So obviously, everybody is depositing money in the bank. I mean, the hope initially was that 20% money will not come back. But from now, the way it looks like, almost 100% of it will come back. I mean, yesterday, Deputy Governor R. Gandhi essentially said that close to 75% of it is already come back. And by December 30th, my guess is, and even the government is now saying that 100% will come back. So if 100% of the money comes back, no black money gets destroyed. Okay. So what do? So they'll probably go after people who have deposited money in the bank accounts and get them to pay tax. Now this is the theory that has been offered, which is true. I mean, they can do that. But the point is, for that, in order for that to happen, you will have to essentially unleash the income tax department on the citizens of this country. That is not a great idea. I mean, I'm sure you will all appreciate that. The second point is that if you look at the data that income tax department puts out regarding the raids and the seizures that they carry out every year, the numbers are pretty bad. So they don't have the capacity to go after each and every citizen of this country. Let's understand that. Okay. I mean, irrespective of what Mr. Hasmukh Adia says or whatever, the WhatsApp forwards are going around. The third point is that, do we have, how many people, there was this WhatsApp forward going around recently which said that the income tax department is getting 1,25,000 retired people out in order to check your returns. I mean, let's be a little more realistic. Does the income tax department have 1,25,000 retired people? I mean, 1,25,000 is a huge number. I mean, don't misinterpret me. So, when you take all these things together, ultimately, who comes out the smartest is the Indian citizen. Okay? Because he realizes, and I'll tell you very, very honestly, 15 days back, I had called an electrician, and he came a little late. So, I mean, he came 2 hours late. And because I deal with him regularly, so there is a certain amount of frankness between us. So I asked him, क्या हुआ? बोला, ये मालिक भेजा था अपना जनधन में पैसा जमा करने. तो मैं बोला, अच्छा, तो आपने किया क्या? बोला, नहीं, मेरा तो अपना भी पैसा है, तो मैं पहले अपना करूंगा कि उसका करूंगा. तो at least that guy was honest to, and I mean, he understood what was happening. So then I got talking to him, and what he told me was very interesting. So this is a small guy. I mean, he's a small operator. He doesn't have a lot of black money. He probably has a few lakhs lying around. At best, 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs. So he's got some 5-7 employees. Sabko he's given 50,000. Interest-free loan. Okay? Go deposit, Jandhan, wherever you want to deposit, go deposit. And then I will cut that money from your salary over the next 5 months or 6 months or whatever. So ho gaya black ka white. This guy has got his interest-free loan. That guy has got black ka white ho gaya. Achha, now obviously Mr. Adia can figure out that this guy who used to deposit only 5,000 rupees per month has deposited 50,000 rupees in 1 month. But you have to understand how many such people would be there who have deposited 50,000 rupees in that month. And how many people will Mr. Adia and his team go after? So my conclusion is that the Indian citizen who has black money has emerged the smartest, and he has gone and deposited money in the bank, and he has full faith in the Indian system, wherein he knows that these guys can't go after me, and if they do go after me, so then we'll see, right? I mean, I have CA friends, and I mean, I don't know if you follow Suchita Dalal, and she's a very well-respected financial journalist. She broke the Harshad Mehta scam. And she has been writing about it, and I honestly believe that she has, a real feel for what is happening at, on the ground level. So she basically wrote a piece wherein she said that chartered accountants have been advising, a lot of people who have black money to declare it, go deposit it in the bank, and then declare it as income for the current year and pay 30% tax on it, okay? Now, obviously, there will be litigation on that. The income tax department will issue a notice. But we all know how litigation works in this country. So people are essentially taking a, shot ki bhai theek hai, abhi 30% de dete hain, and then we'll see how it goes. So, perhaps I'm, being a little more pessimistic than I should. But, my fundamental question is that did we really think through this? Because I really can't see any thinking having happened anywhere. And the latest spin is that, in the long run, something will happen. Okay, long run, something might happen, but at least tell me what will happen in the long run. So that nobody has a real explanation for. I guess, that's all I had to say. And I'm sorry, I probably sort of overshot my time. So, Dhirendra, up to you. Sorry, thanks.